Hi guys, and welcome to episode 59 of Security Dog Handler Live. Hope you're all good. Hope everyone's having a good week so far. You catch me on my last shift of the week. As I explained last week, I'm doing this live a day earlier than normal because I've got tomorrow night off. I'm going away with the boss to on a golf weekend with others. I think there's 12 of us going. So yeah, I'm on my last shift, so I'm doing the live a day earlier. So hopefully some people will come into the live, etc., and we can have some decent chats. Nothing really too much has been going on in terms of work wise. Me and Coop have been working. I had Ollie here with me last night, just to give the missus a break. She didn't sleep very well Tuesday night, so I thought I'll take Ollie last night just to give her a break and let her catch up with whatever she needs to catch up. And then obviously I'm going away, so give her a bit of a break before she has to look after the dogs, etc. But yeah, like I say, I'll be on here for as long as people are interested. So, but yeah, like I say, hope you're all good. What have I got coming up? Going to go dog training in a couple of weeks. Going to be my second session with the new trainer. So looking forward to that. Now that the trainer, obviously, when I turned up and I'd done my certification, trainer's got to have a look at where Cooper's faults are, where Cooper's good, his strengths and his weaknesses is probably the best way of saying that. So it'd be interesting on our next training session what she concentrates on and what she wants to see more of, etc. So yeah, I'm going to look forward to that. Like I say, I think that's going to be in just over a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, other than that, I think me and Coop have been doing some training at work. The weather has semi-perked up. Had a few days of rain, but other than that, it's not as cold as it has been. The temperature's starting to stay up a little bit above freezing, etc. So something to look forward to. The daylight is beginning, so I'm driving to work and going home from work in daylight, etc. So fingers crossed, we are not that long before a bit of daylight on site, and I'll be able to film some other bits. And I think that's one of the funny things about my channel and the way that people perceive maybe what I do or different things like that is we live in a kind of world where if it's not caught on camera, if it's not photoed, if it's not videoed, etc., then it doesn't happen. And because I don't get the chance to video during the winter months, etc., it doesn't mean that I don't put the work in, I don't continue doing training stuff, etc. It just means that I don't have the opportunity to be able to film it. So it'd be interesting to do some more daylight videos where I can get the bite stuff out with Coop, etc., and we can do a little bit more training and do some more videos, etc. So yeah, looking forward to that. Hopefully within a couple of weeks I'll maybe have an hour each side of start and finish to be able to do that sort of stuff. But yeah, other than that, I'm trying to get some video ideas. Don't currently have a video for this Saturday, so I need to think of something, a video that may help people. I might do one on like the cost of, I've done a video before on like the cost of the dog, and that was sort of what it cost me to keep Cooper running, so in terms of food and all that sort of stuff. Because I think when you get into this, what a lot of people worry about is that they may be earning, let's for argument's sake, say 30 grand. So they're earning 30 grand doing the job that they do. Now they may come into this job and think, okay, well I can earn £37,000 but how much, if the dog is going to cost me £7,000, then maybe I'm better off staying on what I'm doing. So I've done a video on sort of like the cost of a dog, like running costs, keeping him running with food, etc., training and all that sort of stuff. But I think it might be decent to do a video on sort of the cost that you would expect to pay out in order for a dog. And I think it's different for different people. So I think that different dogs have got different price tags to different people. Like there'll be some people that will pay X amount of £1,000 for a dog, but I wouldn't pay X amount of £1,000 for that dog. And there'll be people where, like, Cooper is kind of priceless to me because of what we've gone through to get to this stage, etc. But there'll be lots of people that wouldn't pay any money for my dog. So maybe it'd be an idea to do a video on sort of the cost of the dog and what you can expect to pay if you're coming into this. And like I say, it'd be different for different people, because some people will buy a dog and want to train it for 18 months before going into this industry, and there'll be some people that want to get a dog so that they can start in a month's time, etc. So obviously if you want a quick fix, then it's going to cost you more money. If you want a more long-term kind of project, like Cooper was to me, I suppose, more of a long-term project, then it's not going to cost you as much because you're buying a dog that's not trained to a higher level. So I think that might be an interesting video to do. I might try and do that one for Saturday, etc. But if anyone, if you're in the live and you've got a video idea, then put it down in the chat box, or the chat box is there to ask questions, or give me a topic that you think you might want my opinion on, for whatever my 50p is worth. So chat box is there, say hello, ask questions, give a topic, or give some video ideas, and I'll see what I can do. I can't promise that I'll be able to do it. I'll be able to do every single video that people put forwards, because I think also in this, as I've always said, like, I'm not a dog trainer, I'm not a security dog trainer. I obviously, through experience of training Coop to get to where he is, I've got some experience of stuff that we've done, etc. But I'd never turn around and say, look, this is the only way that you can do it, this is exactly how you do it. Can people shadow a handler for a few shifts to what it's really like? That is something that that's something that I've always wanted to be able to offer or put forwards, etc. Now it is tricky, because you bring in terms of, when you think about security, obviously we are here to protect the site, etc. And it's quite hard to take someone from the outside and put them into what should be a secure location. Like, you're bringing someone from the outside that no one knows and bring them into a secure situation, and some people may look at that you are compromising the safety of the site, the security of the site, because you don't know that would be an easy way for a criminal to be able to get into a secure location, or what should be a secure location, and get an insight to how you work and all that, to plan further ahead, to plan an attack further ahead. So it is a tricky one. But what I would say is that if you worked for a certain security company with a dog section, I can't imagine, once you get the trust and they trust you and you've worked for them for a certain period of time, that you wouldn't be able to say, look, I'm thinking about going into the dog section, is there a chance that I could shadow a handler for a couple of shifts, or shadow a handler for a shift, etc. So I think that is a possibility, but you have to be trusted. I don't think you can just be a random person and just get into what should be a secure location, because like I say, anyone could do that. They could then get in, find out how you work, find out how you do certain sites, and they can plan an attack off of that. So yeah, it is a tricky one. It's something that I would do if they worked for a security company and they passed all the back checks and they've been working for Prestige for a certain amount of time, it would be someone. So if there was one of the mobile drivers that have been working for Prestige for 2 or 3 years, good record, clear, had all their background checked and all that certain stuff, and they said, look, we've got the mobile driver, he wants to get into the dog section, would you be okay with him coming with you for a couple of shifts? Then yeah, I'd find that absolutely okay. But like I say, you have to just be a little bit careful, and they have to trust you as well. But also with insurances as well, like the liability insurance in which I work on covers me because I'm a Prestige employee. Their liability insurance probably isn't going to cover someone that is not a Prestige employee. So there's there's different things like that. But yeah, that's definitely something that I would do. And if there was, like I say, someone that worked for Prestige who wanted to get into this and wanted to see what it was like, then I would do it for them. But yeah, like I say, you just got to be a little bit careful when you're just introducing some random person off the street and throwing them into what should be a secure location. There's a mobile security team. Now this is nothing to do with me. It's more to do with outside the site. There's a mobile security team that are looking after some stuff outside, and they turn up regularly throughout the night, do a check and things like that. And the last few nights, they don't even get out. They literally drive down, open their window, take a photo, and then drive off. And the other night I was out with Coop, and me and Coop were doing a patrol around here, and then we stopped and played a little bit of ball. And Coop, all of a sudden, he just stopped, and I was like, okay. So I just sort of froze what I was doing. Coop just stopped, and then he started air scenting and looking towards the stuff that these mobile drivers are meant to be looking after. And just after that, I heard some cracking in the trees. So there's CCTV covering the stuff. So in theory, if anyone walks around and starts messing around with there, it's on CCTV that then goes to an external control. The external control can then phone the police and let them know, etc. And the trees were on the opposite side to the CCTV. So, like I say, I was out here patrolling with Coop, playing a little bit of ball, and Coop just stopped dead on what he was doing, and he started air scenting, and he was looking over towards that certain direction. And I stayed out for about another 10 minutes, and nothing. I couldn't really hear any banging and crashing around. I didn't hear any of the Harris fencing and all that sort of stuff. So, don't know. About 20 minutes later, when I was back in the van, I saw the mobile geezers turn up, and as he was walking down, I shouted him. And he kind of looked around, and I shouted to tell him where I was. Anyway, he come down. I said, look, just going to let you know, I was out with the dog. The dog started air scenting, looking towards your stuff. I heard something going around in the trees. Just letting you know, you might want to check it out, etc. And he looked at me, and he was like, what? And then he was like, oh, give me a minute. And then he run 100 yards back up the road, and got another bloke out of the car, which they both come down, and they was like, he's like, this is my manager, and they was like, oh yeah, we're security. I was like, I know who you are. I said, I'm just letting you know, the dog started air scenting, looking at your stuff, I heard something in the trees, just letting you know. Now, what do you reckon their response to that was? I'll give you 2 options. They got their torches out and went and done an in-depth look at the perimeter of the Harris fencing. It's only, what's that, 50 yards by 20 yards is what their Harris fencing. So did they get their torches out and go and do a thorough look around the perimeter of their Harris fencing, or did they walk straight back up into their car, get in their car and drive off? So A or B, which one do you reckon it is? And yes, of course it was B. So after me telling them the dog's air scented on someone or on something, the dog started air scenting and looking towards the stuff that they're looking after, and then I heard something in the trees. Their response to that was get back in the car, turn around and drive off, and come back a few hours later. And whether they're proper security, I'm not 100% sure. Some of them turn up in orange high vis, which is obviously not what security. You wouldn't put security in orange high vis generally, but yeah, they just sort of turned around and said, oh, okay, turned around, walked back up, got in the car, and just pissed off. So that is the difference, I think, between either proper security. That is the difference between proper security and people that work for a company that just go down every now and then, take a few photos. But also the difference between people probably without dogs and probably with dogs. If they was a dog handler, they would have wanted to use the dog, they would have been active to go and have a look and see what the dog picks out, etc. Where they probably thought to themselves, it's not worth our time. If there is someone there, we're not going to tackle them anyway, and we're just going to go. So yeah, that was an interesting interaction in terms of what my dog picked up in terms of scent, the way in which my dog acted. Now, likelihood is it was possibly a fox, but it was just interesting to me that they've got someone looking after this stuff. Now, the stuff that they're looking after is probably worth 100 times more than the stuff that I'm looking after, and it's just interesting that you would pay such little money for security on that price of stuff compared to what I'm looking after, and yet it is just ticking a box. And I think that is kind of proof that you are just ticking an insurance box, that you're not actually worried about whether anything gets taken. You're just ticking the box for the security company, so that for the insurance company, so that if something does go wrong, that you're going to get paid out for it. But yeah, that was just something that happened this way. I just found it really interesting, and like I say, they couldn't have cared less. And I told them, look, someone might be breaking into your stuff and nicking your gear, and they literally couldn't have cared less. They just turned around, walked back up, got in the car, and went. And I just thought, well, that's it then. There's no point in me now trying to help them out or keeping an eye on their stuff, etc. Because if they're not prepared to go and investigate and make sure their stuff's not getting nicked, then why should I? So I'll keep an eye out, and obviously if something does happen, I'll take some notes or whatever, but I'm not going to put myself in the firing line for people that don't even care themselves. Another interesting thing that happened this week. So there are people that have access through our gate, and they don't turn up very often, and we don't know who they are when they turn up, etc. And they normally turn up during the day, which is obviously handy for me, but they normally turn up during the day. And the day guy had someone walk up to the gate the other day, and obviously the day guy got out, went up to the fence, and the bloke just turned around and said, let me in. And he was like, hold on, like, who are you? He was like, just let me in. He was like, sorry, I have no idea who you are, etc. And then there was a bit of back and forth, and then he let him, the guy on the outside told the day guy, look, I run this part of the yard, I own this company, etc. And the day guy was like, okay, well, showed a bit of ID, fine, I'll let you in. And it was only about half hour later that the guy ended up calming down, and then he kind of like spoke to him, etc. And he said that the reason that he's so abrupt, etc., is that he's meant to have access through this gate, etc. And he's had a lot of trouble with the security here, not when I'm working, not when the day guy's working, but when some other people are working, that he struggles to communicate with them, and because of that struggle in communication, he ends up not being able to get through his gate, or he has to wait outside for long periods of time, etc. And I think that is one of the things that security could really improve on, is the communication between you and other people. Now, the day guy said, look, he come up and he was so abrupt and he was so pissed off before we even really started talking, etc. But I think security could really do with learning communication sort of stuff, and I think that especially in the SIA, especially my course, I think I've said before, like my case is very different because it was kind of COVID times, etc. But when I was doing SIA, etc., I don't know if you guys have done different, or whether door supervisor is probably a bit different to security guard, etc. But the whole time that I was going through my SIA for security guard, I was never put through scenarios in order to be able to talk to people. All the way in which I interact with people is all natural, and I think that there is a lack in people being able to talk to people through scenarios, and not always at like a threat level. Like I obviously do lots of, when I go training, I do lots of communications at sort of the high end level. So when you've got the dog out in front of you and you're trying to get your point over to someone whilst you've got the dog out in front. But what I find is that a lot of security guards that I meet, and a lot of the stories that I kind of hear, is that security guards don't seem to be able to communicate with a member of the public on sort of a medium level and be able to calm it down. They seem to just not in, they don't take it up, but their lack of communication ends up escalating the situation more than it really needs to. And I wonder whether there should be more on the security guard side of people being able to talk to people on a normal level, like a medium level. Because like I say, when I'd done my SIA during the lockdown and it was on Zoom, etc., like I'd done zero sort of role play. Now, like I say, in terms of door supervisor, etc., there probably is more role play and things like that. But ever since I've done my SIA, I've never done like a refresher where they put you into role play scenarios. Now obviously I do get that through my NASDO training and doing stuff with the dog, etc. And listen, look, a lot of the times when we do our when I've done role play with the dog, etc., a lot of times, as Terry's always said, look, we'll start off at a low level, then we'll go up to a high level, then I'll back down, so we go back down to a low level. And obviously a lot of that is for you to be able to G the dog up, to be able to calm the dog down, and moving the threat levels up and down obviously then trains you to be able to start low, go high, and then come back down to low again. But yeah, I think that one of his main things has always been not being able to communicate with security guards, and 98% of this job is all about communication. Because like I say, with a lot of the stuff I've had to deal with is all been through communication. I've not had to get the dog out on someone and get them to back down, etc. It's always been a communication thing where you can just talk to people, reason with people, and bring them down, bring their level down a little bit to something that's quite similar to yours. But I do find that a lot of security guards go there with a lot of security guards start at like a medium level and try and bring it back down to a low level, rather than starting at like a low level, seeing where it goes to if they need to raise it. And like I say, a lot of the times I've always started at a really low level, and I don't go up a level unless someone gives me a reason to take my levels up, if that makes sense. And yeah, I think that was just interesting because, like I say, he said like once they had a bit of a chat and things like that, the guy kind of calmed down, etc. But the guy turned up at like a medium level, and he was like in his 60s as well. Like he weren't ever going to do anything, and he turned up at a medium level. But by the day guy staying at a low level, he was able to bring someone back down. I always think that when you're dealing with someone, they will normally match the level that you're at. So if you go in at a medium level, it's quite likely that they're going to feel a little bit taken back, and they're going to come back at you at a medium level. Where if they're at a medium level and you stay at a lower level, normally they end up matching, because most of the time they probably understands that they're not going to get what they want or be able to reason with you whilst they're at a higher level than you are. And that's not obviously not always the case, because there will be dangerous people or higher criminals out there that come in at a top level to try and get you to drop your level to try and cooperate. So it's not always the case, but what I've always found with not necessarily insecurity, but just in mates or being on nights out and things like that, by you staying at a lower level normally brings someone at a medium level back down. Or this. Let's get a bit more. So, has anyone got any questions or any topics or anything else they want to talk about? The dogs are going to my mum and dad's for a few days whilst I'm away, so the dogs are going to have a bit of an holiday as well. I think Coop will be looking forward to it, having a big garden to run around for a fair few days. Hopefully he'll behave himself. It's funny that at my place, obviously I've got a flat and there's not loads of room to get up to too much mischief, but the dogs are normally pretty settled at home and things like that, and the moment I take them to my mum and dad's, it's like taking the kids to a soft play area. Like, they go mental. So I think it is a little bit of a struggle sometimes for my old man, is that he doesn't know how to bring the dogs down. And one of the issues that my dad has got is that he doesn't know how to keep the dogs at a low level. Now, that again, this is quite similar to what I was talking about just a second ago, is that a lot of the times, especially my dogs, now it might be different for other people's dogs, or it might be different between working dogs and pet dogs, etc., is that the dogs will match whatever your energy is. Now, sometimes when you first get them out, they're just a bit excited and they start running around, etc., and then after a while the dogs will always match your energy. And similar to when I go training, etc., when I have Coop out and everyone is sort of acting normal and they're milling around and I'm calm and I'm settled and I'm level-headed, etc., you'll find that Coop starts to match my energy. And the moment I start amping it up is the moment that Coop starts amping it up, and then when I calm myself back down, he normally calms himself back down. And I think the struggle that my dad has with my dogs is that he starts off at an 8 and then tries to keep the dogs at a 4 whilst he's still at an 8. And I've tried to explain it to him loads of times, and I think that's one of the struggles that my dad's got, is that he doesn't know how to make sure the dogs are matching his energy, rather than him being at high energy and expecting the dogs. Because he said something to me today, because something happened with Ollie. I won't go into it too much, and the problem that he's got is that everything he does is quick and everything he does is enthusiastic and different things like that. And all that does to Coop and Ollie is keeping them at a 7, a 6, a 7, an 8. And then he just expects the dogs just to switch off and they just stop. And that's what you find a lot of the times with, not saying this is always the case, but this is what you find a lot of the times with dogs that redirect back onto handlers, etc., is that you'll see the dog and he'll be out in front. You'll see the dog and he'll be out in front, and there'll be someone there will be riding them up. They'll have the decoy in front, and the decoy will be winding the dog up, and they get the dog up to like an 8 or a 9 or whatever it is, and then the decoy will go away, and then they just expect that the dog is then just going to automatically go back down to a 2. Now, when I have Coop and we do sort of protection stuff and different things like that, yes, when I get him out of the van, he understands where he is, and he may start at like a 3 or a 4, and then sorry. Oh, You might get Coop out and he might start at a 3 or a 4, then he starts recognising what's happening and he might go up to a 5 or a 6, and then the moment he sees the decoy, he's up at maybe a 7 or an 8, and then the moment you hear me start shouting, he gives me what his probably 9 is. So once he gets up to that 9, etc., he's there, he's ready to go to maybe a 10 if he has to, like his 10. I'm not saying a 10 in terms of what every dog is capable of giving, what his 10 is, but if that decoy turns around and runs and walks away, he's not going to automatically go back down to a 3 or a 4 like he was when I got out of the van, because we've amped him up and we've told him that, well, the scenario has told him that he's going to need to be at a 9 or 10. So what he does is he'll start off at 3 or 4, end up at an 8 or a 9, but he'll probably only ever go back down to probably a 6 until I turn around and we go back and I put him in the van, and then he'll slowly start to calm himself down. And it was interesting when with my new trainer. So obviously my new trainer's never seen Coop before, and like I know Cooper, etc. And like we done, and originally we was just out in the field, etc. And I said, I think he needs to go to the toilet, do you mind if I just let him off leash? She said, no, that's fine. So I let Coop off, and Coop was milling around, and me and the trainer were just walking around the field, etc., whilst Coop was going around doing a toilet and having a sniff about, etc. And then when it come to doing some protection, so put Coop back on the lead, done some protection stuff, etc., I said to her, she said, all right, we'll take the dog for another walk around the field. I said, okay. I said, do you want me to let him off lead? She went, no, never after protection. I was like, okay. Now I know that Coop understands when the game is finished and Coop will be fine, etc. But the reason that she said that is because she understands that we had Coop at a 1 or a 2 when we was going around the field and he was sniffing around and then he went for a toilet, etc. And then she has caused him to go up to an 8 or a 9 in a training situation. She's got him to go up to an 8 or a 9. Now after we finished that, she knew that he's not going to go back down to a 1 or a 2, and he probably didn't. He probably went down to a 4 or a 5. But I know when Cooper realises the game's finished, I know Cooper's 4 or 5 is safe, but she doesn't know that. So it'd be interesting once she gets to know the dog, etc. And I think you guys would have seen that a lot in sort of patrol training and things like that you've seen, that Cooper is barking and we're going through and he's sort of probably like a 5 or a 6 as he's going through, and then he gives Terry a 7 or an 8 or a 9, whatever it is, when we do the standoff. But the moment that Cooper gets the ball, he goes back down to like a 5, and then he can just roam around people, and people can come up and say hello to him because he understands when the game's over, because it's a training situation, because he understands what's going on. So yeah, I think it's just interesting, and that's one of the struggles my dad has, is that once he gets the dogs up to like a 7, like he doesn't know how to get them back down to a 3 or a 4, and he just expects that to happen naturally rather than you matching a lower energy and bringing the dogs down back with you. So you can't stay up at a 7 and expect the dogs to be at a 4, because they'll match whatever you do. How's the new van going, and would you change anything about the setup you have inside? The new van is good. I've got to get a new windscreen because a boulder smacked it the other week. So hopefully they're going to be sorting that out soon. Yeah, the van is good. I much prefer it. I much prefer this bench seat in the front. Gives me just so much more room. Like down there I've got my fridge, my extension lead, my drinks and all that sort of stuff, so I don't have to keep going into the back in order to get some food or whatever it is. Would I change anything in terms of my setup? Not currently. I don't think currently I would. Now what I've said is that if this was just a dog van, so if I just move this, so if this was just a dog van, what I would do is I would get rid of these 2 seats and then have that as like basically open plan, what you probably call open plan in a house. I would probably do that if this was just a dog van, if this was literally just a van to go to work, then I would probably take this bench seat out and just have this as an all open plan and give a little bit more room, and for me to be able to just turn around and walk into the back. In an emergency, I can jump over this. I can be in the back with where the dog's escape hatch is. So in an emergency, I can get into the back, but I'm obviously not going to tread all over my seats, etc. On a regular basis in order to get into the back. So I do have to get out and go round, or get out and go through one of the side doors in order to get to the back. So that would be probably one of the only things I would change. But like I said, this this vehicle for me is not just a work van. I use it on my days off. Might use it to take the girlfriend and the dogs to my mum and dad's or whatever it is. So I do need to have these seats here for other people. What would be handy if I could take this middle seat out and just have the two seats, but these two are connected. So I've either got to have 3 seats or 1 seat. So but yeah, I would say that's probably the only sort of change I would make in here. I think it's a lifestyle thing. Like if I started doing work where I stayed away, etc. Like for example, if I started doing sites where it was, don't know, an hour and a half from home, and I was on like a 5-day stretch, and instead of driving back and forth, I just decided to stay up there, then I would probably look at getting a single crate for coop, etc. So I could probably put a bed in there, so when I'm not working I could have a sleep. But because I'm not that inclined, I'm not someone that's going to do that work, it's not something that's massively important to me. Having the little chill out area between me and the crate, so in this video that looks like the crate is up quite close to my seats, etc. But there's a good sort of 4 or 5 feet of room there, so I've got a bit of a chill out area with a beanbag chair that I can chill out there if I really want to. But yeah, in terms of the way I'm set up, I feel like I'm set up to the best of what I need. Like I say, lots of people would probably put a bed in here, or they would put a bit more of a comfier lounge position, etc. But for what I do, where I work 12 hours on, 12 hours off, or 15 hours on, you don't need too much. And I think if you're only doing 12 on, 12 off, and you're driving to and from site every day, if you start making it too comfortable in your van and things like that, maybe it can encourage you to get a little bit lazy. You are here to do a job. Now obviously being comfortable whilst you work is obviously important, etc. But it shouldn't be overly comfortable that you start to get a little bit lazy. That's my personal opinion, etc. So yeah, like I say, the only thing I would change is taking out this bench seat if it was just a work vehicle. And then obviously, yeah, if I started working away where I was staying away for nights or staying away for days, then I would get rid of the double, get a single, and then maybe get a small single for Ollie for if I took him, and then put a bed in. But like I say, that's not a style of working that I'm interested in, so it's probably not going to happen. Well, not going to happen soon, let's put it that way. I think the best idea is to maximize storage. Like my personal opinion on your vans, etc., is to maximize your storage by using as little whilst using as little space as possible. So for example, my crate, I've got a storage box that's under my crate. Now all the stuff that is under my crate would fit between the crate and the back of my seat. So you could say, well, yeah, you could have the crate at ground level, and you've still got storage space behind. But by my old man building a storage box for the storage stuff to go in and raising the crate, it has now allowed me to have that certain stuff, have that 4 or 5 foot of space behind me, in order to have like a lounge position. So I think it's always about maximizing your storage in as little space as possible. And whether you have storage above or below the crate, it doesn't really matter. But if you can lift the crate or put stuff on top of the crate, then that's the best way of maximizing your storage, etc. Because I've got four sort of bins under the crate that's crammed with stuff, but what that means is that I don't have to find storage place, and that's one of the reasons why I would advise anyone to get a van when they start doing this job and not use a car. Because when I first started and I had very little stuff, it still took up a lot of the car, and Coop was in the back in his crate, and each side of the crate was just rammed with stuff like spare jackets, toys, bite stuff, and it was all round there. But then that would all spill onto the back seat, so like the back seat would be full of stuff as well. And then what I was finding was that every time I wasn't working and we wanted to take the car somewhere, I was having to take all that stuff out, and then once we'd done whatever we was doing, I had to put all that stuff back in, etc. Where having the van like I've got it now, with the storage boxes and obviously the storage unit under the crate, etc., it just stays there, and it's there if I need it. But very rarely do I need to actually use any of the stuff. But there will be situations coming up in the future, I'm sure, where I'm going to need that stuff, and it's always just handy to have it there and then, rather than needing to go and pick it up from home or pick it up from somewhere else and put it in the van for that week, etc. So like I say, I wouldn't change too much with how I'm set up, etc. I'm really happy with the way it is. The difference between having this Vivaro van compared to the Volkswagen Caddy to me is absolutely massive, because even just having the extra room in the front just makes it such more comfortable shift. With the Vivaro as well, the seats that you sit in are a little bit more upright. Your legs are a little bit more level. Is that the right way of putting it? When you go into a Volkswagen Caddy and it's lower to the floor, it's quite easy for you to sort of slump into the chair, etc., and your knees come to be above your hips, and that can really give you some problems with, like, well, it gave me some problems with my hips, etc. So even with these bench seats where you sit a little bit more upright and a little bit flatter, that's made a massive issue. But the biggest plus for me is is definitely the front, where I've got loads more room to be able to stretch my legs out if I want to. I can put them to the side and stretch them out. But yeah, like I say, I don't see any imminent massive changes to my setup, etc. But yeah, my biggest tip for vans and things like that is to maximize your storage by using as little space as possible, and going upwards instead of backwards in terms of your storage if you can. Alright, what are we up? 43.5 minutes. Has anyone got any last questions or something else? I'm happy to stay on for a little bit longer if someone's got a question or something that they want me to talk about. I'm happy to stay on. I'll give you another sort of 30 seconds if you want to get something into the chat box. So I'm happy to stay on, but if not, then we'll call it there, because otherwise I'll turn this into a dreary end to the live. But yeah, other than that, like I say, I've got the weekend off coming up, so I'm looking forward to that. Going and playing a bit of golf. I'll be in Birmingham, so going up to Brummyland. So I'll be in Birmingham for this weekend, etc. So yeah, nice break, nice to get away. I think in the nicest way possible. Now I know that this puts more pressure on the missus with the dogs, etc. But one of the things I am looking forward to is being away and not having to worry about walking the dog, not worrying about having to feed the dog, not worrying being able to have a decent break where I can just get up, go and play some golf, finish golf, have some beers, not have to rush back for the dogs. Just being able to chill out for sort of 2 or 3 days. I think it's important. It's important in this job to give yourself that kind of break every now and then, because it can become quite routine. Like my routine is very much like get up, sort the dogs out, sort myself out, go to work, deal with the dogs all night, get back home, sort the dogs out, go to sleep, get up, sort the dogs out, sort myself out, go to work, sort with the dogs. So I think it is important every now and then just to give yourself a little 2 or 3 day break where you just switch off from the dogs, etc., and you haven't got to worry about, not say getting up and sorting the dogs out, or after I finish golf I haven't got to worry about getting back because I need to get back for the dogs, etc. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to that. I enjoy going to Birmingham. It's going to be a good weekend. So yeah, we are 45.5 minutes. I'll call it there. Seems as no one's got any other questions. I hope you've enjoyed this live. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below for loads more videos. There will be a video on Saturday. I haven't thought about what it's going to be yet, but I'll sort something out. But yeah, other than that, I will be back next week, probably on the Thursday. But other than that, I'll see you again next week. Cheers guys, cheers for watching, look after yourselves, have a great weekend. See you later, bye.